Hello, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we will start refrigeration and air conditioning. The first question which we need to answer is, what is the scope of this subject? Can we imagine a house without a refrigerator or an air conditioner today? Not really. Now, what is refrigeration then? Can we define refrigeration? Yeah. If you have a hot cup of coffee which is kept on the table, from the knowledge of heat transfer, we know that it gets cooled, right? So, let us say the coffee is at a temperature of 75 degrees Celsius and you have atmosphere which is at, let us say, 30 degrees Celsius. Now, the coffee is at 75 degrees Celsius and atmosphere is at 30 degrees Celsius. Naturally, this coffee gets cooled. Now, can you call this as refrigeration? No. It is a natural phenomena where hot body interacts with the surrounding which is at a lower temperature and you get this cooling. But in fact, in refrigerator, you cool the space lower than the surrounding temperature. That means, if you can have this coffee, if the atmosphere itself is at 30 degrees Celsius and if you can cool this coffee to 25 degrees Celsius. Now, see, atmosphere itself is at 30 degrees Celsius and if you can cool the coffee to 25 degrees Celsius, then you can call this as refrigeration. And remember, naturally heat transfer occurs from higher temperature to lower temperature. This is the direction of heat transfer. But we must understand, in a refrigerator, heat transfer occurs from lower temperature to higher temperature reservoirs. That means, from inside, let us say temperature of refrigerator itself is at 5 degrees Celsius and it will be rejecting heat to the kitchen which is at 30 degrees Celsius. So, heat transfer in a refrigerator happens in the direction of from lower temperature to higher temperature. So, this is what in a first glance you can think of, but refrigeration is defined as a process in which temperature of a confined space, remember you are not going to cool the whole world, right. So, it will be a confined space which has to be maintained lesser than surroundings. So, it has to be lesser than surroundings, then you call it as refrigeration, all right. Now, let us look at the scope of this subject or application areas of this subject. As we have discussed, food preservation. Now, all the food human beings eat are either derived from vegetables or meat, I mean animals. So, we must understand that we are interested in, let us say there are seasonal foods like season fruits, season vegetables, but you want it to be available throughout the year and that too without compromising on the quality of the food. And thanks to industrialization, because of which many people are living far away from the place where the food is or agricultural products are produced. So, preserving food is one of the important applications of food. Now, how do you preserve food by the application of refrigeration is of important thing. Like, if you take any food, it is a combination of carbohydrate, protein and fat, from which we will get vitamins and minerals. Now, by any means, if any of these ingredients is spoiled, then you call that it is not fit to be eating. So, how do you identify that a food is spoiled? The moment if you talk about vegetables or fruits, it start getting decomposition as soon as you pluck it from the tree or plant. So, it loses its, I mean, it started getting rotten or decomposition the moment you take it from there, and it takes time, it gets softened. Or if you take milk, it gives you sour tasting. Or if you take meat, you will have a silmy coating the moment it is not fit to eat. Or if you take eggs, it loses weights if it is spoiled. So, if at all you want to increase the shelf life of these food products, you must uh, reduce the activities of microorganisms. I mean, the reason for this decomposition or decaying or spoilage, whatever you call, of these food products is mainly because of these microorganisms. Now, if you can reduce the microorganisms activities, you can readily extend the life of the food product. Now, you have many techniques by which you can increase the shelf life of the food. The idea is that there are many techniques, like you can go for dehydration. You can sun dry a few of the things, like even meat is dehydrated and used, uh, extend its life, or you can go for chemical increasing of shelf life by keeping it in vinegar, or you can see pickles. I mean, higher the moisture, I mean to say, in case of the dehydration process, higher the moisture content, it is good for microorganisms, right, to multiply. So, you want to remove the moisture, that is why you go for dehydration. Similarly, pickles have a good amount of shelf life. It is because higher the salt content, it is not good for microorganisms to multiply. Or you can go for chemical process by which, where you keep it in vinegar. So, by doing all this, you are trying to increase the shelf life. Refrigeration is also one of such technique where you can reduce the microorganism activities if you cool it to a lower temperature. Maybe you have heard of pasteurization as well, or you can increase the shelf life of the food products by boiling above 120 degrees Celsius, or you can cool it to minus 15 to 24 degrees. The idea is that you kill all the microorganisms or bacteria. So, refrigeration is a technique where reducing the temperature, by reducing the temperature, you can increase the shelf life of the food product. So, obviously, one of the first important application of refrigeration is food preservation. So, storage of fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, dairy products used in refrigerators, cold storages and frozen food industries. Now, let us talk about ice production. Now, there are many industries where you need ice. For example, you can use it in domestic also, and fisheries is need a good amount of ice. So, there will be industries which produce ices and supply it to fisheries, or they can have their own plants within their premises, or you can also use it for medical purposes. Now, industrial applications. So, there are many applications where you need to reject the heat to surroundings. So, the chemical industries where you need process cooling. So, pharmaceutical industries where you want to store or produce drugs. Then breweries and dairy processing, as I said, pasteurization. So, they are also heating and they are cooling it faster. So, then they need cooling. So, air conditioning, we have talked about this air conditioning. Today we cannot imagine an office space without air conditioner, and it is also true that in future we may not have houses without air conditioning as well. So, air conditioning is used in homes, offices, hospitals, shopping malls and comfort cooling as well. Now, in transportation, as we said, the moment you take out, I mean, pluck it from whether fruits or vegetables from the plant or tree, so it starts rotting, decomposition start from there itself. So, how do you transport them? I mean, if you want to increase the shelf life, the cooling has to, or reducing the microorganisms has to start from the point where it is gonna start. So, it has to be like started from the place you have harvested them. So, refrigerated trucks will be there, which will be the part of cold chain, which will have to transport them to the place where you are, like shopping malls or cold storages. So, you can have even in the ships also, and containers to carry perishable goods. Then medical applications. So, there are medical applications, like as we said, storage of vaccines, even blood, medicines and biological samples, you need cooling. So, refrigeration is extensively used in all of these applications. And liquefaction of gases, there are gases like, let us say, nitrogen or oxygen, whose boiling point is lower. If at all you want to make it liquid, either you have two options. One is either pressurize it or cool it to the boiling temperature. So, even there you use refrigeration. So, in a whole, you can say that refrigeration is extensively used in many of such applications, and studying this particular subject for a mechanical engineer is imperative. So, we will start talking about units of refrigeration and remaining like vapor compression, vapor absorption system, psychometry and air conditioning systems in the later classes. Thank you.